keyword here, let me use this one. Okay. What's wrong? The keyword is basic. Yeah, basic. This research aims to increase knowledge and understanding about the world without necessarily having a practical or immediate application. So it explores new frontiers of knowledge rather than by the need of absorbing a specific program. So that's basic research. The objective is to find or explore the new front of a research area and find the basic knowledge of this field. And though basic research is very difficult, this is an example. Do you know the human, what's that? Human genome, right? Genome, genetic. Genetic gene is a typical example of basic research. Mapping a genetic of human beings is very difficult, right? But if we know the genetic map of human beings, maybe it will help the doctors to treat the disease, help people in good health condition, But that's very difficult. So basic research often requires a high degree of creativity, innovation, and intellectual curiosity, as well as a willingness to take risks. So it's difficult. You must take risks. Unfortunately, management research, most management research is not basic research, but applied research. So applied research. Applied research focus on a specific program in different fields. That's applied research. Developing practical solutions to real-world problems. It involves the use of knowledge, theories, and techniques to address specific problems or challenges in particular field or industry. So let me give you some examples. Here are some examples. These are some examples. An empirical study of innate consumer innovativeness, personal characteristics, and new product adoption behavior. So they want to explore the relationship between A, B, and C. And then the answer of this question will help us to take the corresponding measure to improve for people to buy new products. So that's the example of applied research. This is the first example. And second one, factors affecting new product adoption in the consumer electronics industry. So which factor will influence people's new product adoption or buying behavior? So that's another example. That's applied research. And then the second one, microcosmic and macroscopic. Yeah, not easy. So what's the difference between these two ones? The first one focus on individual, for example, consumers or individual companies, teams, alliance like this. And then we focus on individuals. That's the macrocosmic. And then this is an example: transformational leadership and organizational commitment. What's the relationship between? This is one type of leadership style, and then organizational commitment is another factor, another variable. And then I want to know the relationship between these two ones. And then mediating role of psychological improvement and motivating. You will know what is mediating and motivating. So I introduce what is mediator and motivate later. And then the second one, does innate consumer innovativeness relate to new product service adoption behavior? That means we must investigate the consumers. Consumers will be treated as the subjects, and then according to their response, we'll find the relationship between ICI and MPAB. So that's the example of macrocosmic research, focus on the individuals. And then the second one, macroscopic, focus on industry, region, country, like this. And then research on the development of trade of telecommunications industry. So that's the second one, macroscopic research. And the second example, research on the efficiency of financial industry in China. Focus on different region, different country, and different industry. This is two. And then most of management researchers are, you think it's the first one or the second one? This one or this one, according to your? The first one, right? That's right. We always focus on consumers or leaders in different companies, different enterprise or teams in these organizations. So most of the management research are the first one. Okay, that's the second one. And the third one, exploratory, descriptive. Okay, exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory research. The first one, what is exploratory? Just look at exploratory. You do not have any idea about this field. So the first one, exploratory research, used to investigate a research question when the research has limited knowledge or understanding of the topic before you begin to study. You do not know any idea. And then the primary objective is to gain insights and gather preliminary information that can help the researchers better define the research program and develop hypotheses or design research method. So if you are familiar with the relative academic articles or literature, it will help you to find the possibility of further research and help you to choose the correct research method. That's exploratory research. It is often used when the issue you are studying is new, or there is no pre-existing knowledge or paradigm with which to study it. That's exploratory. And the second one, descriptive, easy for you to understand. What is descriptive? Describe, depict the basic features or characteristic, right? So you will answer the question what, when, about what, where, when, and how question, but not why. Descriptive research aims to accurately and systematically describe, that's the keyword, describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. Let me give you some example to understand what is descriptive. You know, population census. Typical example of descriptive research. You know, China conducts census. I don't know, maybe every 10 years, with the year ending 0 as the census year. And I know that the standard time point is 0 a.m. Beijing time on November the 1st at the census year. So the conclusion or the conclusion or the data from this census are the example of descriptive research. How has the CQ housing market changed over the past 20 years? Do customers of company X prefer product A or product B? So what are the most popular online news sources among the 80s are examples of descriptive descriptive. For example, we can say that the market of, air conditioner in Chongqing is very big, very large. That's the example of descriptor. And then we move on to next one. If you want to explain why the conditional market in Chongqing is very large, that's the question of, yeah, the third one, explanatory research. That's a cause and effect model, and it is a type of causal research. Answer the question why. Explanatory research explore why something occurs, help you increase your understanding of a given topic. I said how or why a particular phenomenon is occurring and predict maybe future occurrence. These are some examples. Why blah 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 blah? Why blah blah blah? Why? That's a typical example of explanatory research. So you know the difference between exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory research. So what's the difference? So the first one is just to explore this topic because you have no idea, or because maybe this topic is a very new one and you don't know any idea about this one, and you use exploratory research. And if you want to describe the features, characteristic of the research subject, you use descriptor. And then you want to explain the reason why this phenomenon will occur, you use explanatory research. Okay. And then the first one, cross-sectional and longitudinal research. So what is cross-sectional study? What is the longitudinal research? The only difference is that the time point. Yeah, time point. If you are familiar with the financial management, have you ever studied accounting or financial management? Yes, you should be very familiar with this one. This first one, balance sheet, right? And the second one, profit and loss account. So maybe if you have the basic idea of these two subjects, it may be easier for you to understand which one is cross-sectional research and which one is longitudinal. So for balance sheet, just like a cross-sectional data, we have a specific time point. Yeah, if the time point is different, the balance sheet also different. Yeah, right. So a cross-sectional study is a type of research design in which you collect the data from many different individuals at a single point in time. Single point in time. So it describes as taking a snapshot. What is snapshot? That means you take picture quickly. Yeah, at that moment, of a group of individuals. And then, usually, this one is usually inexpensive, cheap, so I think appropriate for you. And easy to conduct. This is an example, population census. We know the standard time point of the population census in China. I mean, I just tell you, 0 a.m. Beijing time, 0 a.m. Beijing time on November the 1st of the census year. And then at that point, the population in China is about, I don't know, maybe 1.4 billion. I don't know the exact number. So if the time is different, for example, 0.01, the figure will be changed. So that's a specific, a single point in time. So that's cross-sectional study. So the data we call cross-sectional data. You collect the data at a specific time point. This data we call cross-sectional data. I think this one is good for you. This data is good for you because we know, let me compare cross-sectional and longitudinal. So what is longitudinal? A period of time, profit and loss account record the whole year's profit or loss. Maybe from the first day of the year to the last day of the year. That's 1 year time. So we call this one is longitudinal. How long is longitudinal? That's why it may be very difficult for you to choose to use longitudinal research. No set amount of time is required, so long as the participants are rapidly observed, range from as short as a few weeks to as long as several decades. However, they usually last at least a year. Oftentimes, these are some examples. The Harvard study of adult element has been collected data on the physical and mental health of a group of Boston for over 80 years. And the physical growth of low birth weighting infants, 16 year of longitudinal study. So for you, if you want to choose longitudinal research, I think sometimes very difficult, expensive, and sometimes I think impossible for you, because you have to finish your student career in not 1 year, 3 years. 3 years. The first year you study a lot of different courses, and the second year you have a proposal, and then you have to submit your final thesis, and then if you can pass the last oral defense, you get your master degree, right? So the time is very limited for you. So I think longitudinal research is not good for you. Also, cross-sectional data. I never see an international student choose longitudinal research as their research method. Always use this one, cross-sectional. Cross-sectional. Okay, that's the different categories of research. And then I will introduce management research process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 steps. 8 steps. The first step, clarify the research question, literature review, construct a management theory of your own, and then propose the corresponding hypothesis, and then research design the research. That's the plan of your research. And then tell us, how do you measure the management concept or construct, and then how to take sample from the population. Collect the data, organize data, and analyze data. Explain data and make final conclusion, and then revise theory. That's the 8th step. I think sometimes all of these steps are begin out of sometimes are begin out of sequence. Some steps may be carried out simultaneously, and others may be then you will spend time, and then maybe go back to the first step. Waste your time, waste your money, I think maybe waste your time. So believe me, if something is very hard to do, I mean, it is worth it. Believe me. Spend more time to find a very good research topic. So how to find a research topic? So first of all, I want to introduce what is a good research topic. It should be a new program, a new one. Don't just repeat other researchers' topic. You find a new one. Sometimes if you can find a very new program in your research area, maybe you research a existing topic, but you see this question in a very new perspective, a very new angle. So that's also a very good research question. So maybe sometimes, what's the example? We research the relationship between A and B just inside the research question of A and B. Other researchers have researched the relationship between A and B, but their perspective is, inside of the company. So how, if we are outside of the company or other area, maybe the relationship or their theory will be also changed. That's a new perspective of the existing research topic. I think that's why it's also a very good research question. New, don't forget new. Don't repeat other other researchers' topic. And then it should be an important one. Important research question. For example, if you construct a scenario like this, the shorter waiting time, the higher level of customer satisfaction. How do you think about this topic?
Not good.
So,
Not good, Lash.
yeah, not good. Why not good?
Very simple.
No, no need for you to test this hypothesis. The shorter waiting time, the higher customer satisfaction, right? It's meaningless. No need for you to test this hypothesis. So do not choose a research topic like that. And then your research topic should have theoretical significance and the practical significance. That means the theoretical significance that there is difference between your research and other researchers' research. And then you must offer a useful advice about the decision maker of the enterprise, the leader of the enterprise. That's theoretical. You must solve a practical problem. So that's practical significance. So all these one are the characteristic of a good research question. Okay, and then how to find? It's hard. It's really hard. Maybe you will find your research question half a year, several months, half a year. But believe me, it's worth it. I mean, how to find a good research question? Oh, personal observation. If you are a manager in a company or in the enterprise, maybe it is easy for you to find a practical management program. But for you, I think it's a little difficult because you are not a real manager. You are students, you're not a real manager. So observe from a personal observation, maybe not easier for you to find a practical management program. And then second one, also very difficult for you, method. So now you begin to study method, according to different methods, we choose different research topic. But method, you must be very good, very excellent at mathematics and statistics. So that's a job, I think that's a job of mathematicians and statisticians. So impossible for you to use one. So I think the best one is this one, literature. What is for me? Literature. You read a lot of relative literature, and then you think the academic idea of different research in your brain, and then maybe you can define a research gap, or maybe you can find something from a very new perspective. So I think this one is very important. Literature. And then also, the second step, we'll study what is or how to read the literature and how to write literature review. This one. Step 2, literature review. So what is a literature review? You have to write a literature review in your, proposal report or final thesis. You have shown the conclusion of your literature review, the conclusion of literature analysis. So a literature review is a paper. It can be an independent paper. It can be part of academic articles. Which one is okay? It can be an independent paper. A paper that compares, outlines, and evaluates previous established research and relates to your own thesis. So first, first one, you search literature on the topic. For example, I'm interested in consumer innovativeness, and then I found the relative articles which study consumer innovativeness. That's the first step, search literature on the topic, and then you have to classify literature of this topic and compare different authors' view, because maybe the same question and then different author different conclusion. So you have to consider why the conclusion is different, and then you compare different authors' view. And group authors who draw similar conclusions and criticize aspects of methodology. Maybe your question about the research method of this paper, of this academic paper, maybe you will choose, and maybe you think another research method is better. And then note areas in which authors are disagreement. Highlight exemplary studies and gaps in research, and show, this one is important, show how your study relates to previous study. That means you have given us a evaluation of all of these academic articles that tell us what's the difference between your study and the previous study. Yeah, give me a evaluation.
But the conclusions and results are different. So we have to mention all of them, or we have to mention those that are supporting our assessment?
No, not just the ideas of you, all the area. I mean, different. So this is the last one. So research, classify, compare, group, criticize, note, highlight, and show. So if you can finish a literature review like this, that's a good paper, a very good paper. That means the quality of literature review is very high. And then how to search literature. For us, maybe the cheapest way and the most convenient way is to use digital library in our university. So let me show you. Sometimes you can use Google Scholar, but I don't know, maybe in China you can visit Google Scholar directly. You have to take some measures, and then I don't know how to take this measure. Yeah, I often use a digital library in our university. Let me show you how can I find here. First, you visit the homepage of our university. Let me show you. This one. And then we visit the homepage of university. So do you know, understand this Chinese? If you don't know, you should just here, like this, here. 图书馆. 图书馆 library. Yeah, and then you visit this one, and then here, oh, it's very, I don't know, maybe the network is not done. Yeah. We have a different, this one, this is Chinese. This is Chinese, 中文, and then this is 外文. Not Bible size, maybe this one, I'm not sure. I only use EBSA, but sometimes I can't find what is EBSA. You know, connected with, it's very slow. Robust dissertations and thesis global. This is a database of master thesis and doctor thesis. The Bible size is. CIES, CIES, SCI. maybe this one's a good one. I often use USO, but where is USO? Okay, we choose it. This one. And then here, for example, I want to find the literature articles about consumer innovativeness. Oh, something like, innovative. Yeah, consumer innovativeness or consumer, I mean, 500 documents, 100 research. Yeah, right. So they will give you, the title is, or keywords is consumer innovative. So the time, yeah, December 2024. Distinct effect of consumer innovation on willingness to pay a green premium when farming social information. Then you can find a lot of articles. Okay, so let's go back to here. I only use EBS BSc complete, but I can't find what it is. And then types of literature. A monograph versus academic articles. What is monograph? A specialist work writing on a single subject or an aspect of a subject, usually by a single one, usually. And then, you have to know the purpose or the objectives of monograph is to spread the academic idea of the author, spread. And then academic articles published in journals. So the purpose of monograph and academic articles are different. So what's the purpose of academic articles? Make public know the author's conclusion. The academic achievement should, I think maybe the author's academic achievement should be propagated, but not all the academic achievement have the value of spread. So that's the main difference. But I recommend you to read this one, academic articles. And then general journals versus top journals. So what's your idea? Choose which one? Top journals, right? Because articles published in top journals often undergo a very rigorous evaluation. That means their conclusion, their research methods are recognized by the academic circles. And then peer-reviewed articles. Peer-reviewed articles, what does it mean? That means your papers are evaluated by the researcher in a similar area, right? That's a peer review. There is a proverb that difference in provision make one few words apart. You know this proverb? You don't know? How to explain? My research area is, for example, consumer innovativeness. So I am very familiar with the topic and the research method in this area. But I'm not familiar with, for example, finance, human resource management, information management. Maybe I am familiar with the research method, but I don't know the research topic, which one is the best one. And then if you choose me to evaluate an articles in, electronic industry or telecommunication industry, or what this. So articles evaluated by the expert in a similar area, their advice is more useful than than the one who are unfamiliar with this area. So choose this one, peer review articles. And then how to read literature. The first one, the first suggestion is that you should read the latest and updated, published. The reference list in your thesis, at least maybe half should be published in the past 5 years, and at least 1/3 should be published in the past 3 years. So first read latest, and then the most relative, and then first you read review articles. We can find a lot of review articles in the relative area. And then literature published in your mother language or native language. So for us, first we should read the literature published in Chinese, not English. Okay.
Darshi,
Yeah.
can you explain the concept of monograph?
What?
Monograph.
Monograph. A special list just on a single subject or an aspect of a subject, and usually by a single author, sometimes 2 authors or 3 authors. And the main objective of monograph is to spread, not tell you their conclusion. They want to spread their final conclusion. Let you know the academic idea of the author. And monograph just like a book. A book. The scale is larger, maybe very larger, like this, just like a book. But article, article, maybe this one here. An article is published in journal. So I do not read very important or very classical monograph you can read. I don't recommend you to read the monograph. And write literature review. One important thing you have to know is that do not just list all the literature or articles. Understand? Some students give us a literature like this. They just say, in this area, which one studied which topic and their conclusions, blah, blah. And then the second one, research, blah, blah, blah. Their conclusions, blah, blah. And the third one, just a list of the literature. That's not a literature review. So it should not be simply a description. It should be a critical discussion. Criticize, evaluate. Insight and awareness of different arguments, theory, and approaches, and research context of existing research, existing program, and prospect or future research direction, and how to organize your literature review. You can organize your literature review by dates of publications, by variables of experimental treatment. I recommend this one. And research design and method. The most general to the most related by the logical thinking of the theoretical development, or you can mix about all of them. I recommend the second one, by variables of experimental treatment. For example, give me an example. I want to consumer innovativeness, personal characteristics, and new product adoption behavior. New product adoption behavior. And then the first part, research about consumer innovativeness, research about personal characteristics, research about new product adoption behavior, and don't forget the fourth one. What's the first one? Research of the relationship among these two or between these 2 or 3 variables. So what's the existing research of the relationship between this one and this one? This one and this one, this one and this one, all of this one. And then the first one, don't forget, evaluate all the academic articles you discussed. So that's an example, how to organize the literature review. So how, if I am a reviewer of your thesis, after, maybe after, not 3 years, right? You will graduate 3 years later, right? And then you have to submit your final thesis maybe on, I'm not sure, maybe May. And then your defense also will be held in May. So if I read your final thesis, give me a very good literature review, okay? Okay, let's take a break. Which one do not, so which one still come, but, which one? Which one? The third, the first one or the second one, you are not in this,
I like
the first one or the
second one.
second one? Okay? This one, right? Okay, done. Okay. So what's your program? Yeah. We don't have enough time to finish the longitudinal research. Yeah, you have to collect the data. Maybe there's at least 2 years to follow or track the change of the behavior of consumers of enterprise.
No, I would agree as well.
You're doing masters? Why?
Not really very.
Why you are studying?
The research.
Fail.
Maybe
This one.
sometimes the
you're
research
taking
topic
this
or research
year.
question, maybe according to the
Doing
change
outside.
of your subject, the change of the behavior of your subject. And this
Decided to do
is
that.
something of yours.
Yeah, oh, I need to sign today. Thank you very So you, this year, you moved up.
You moved on this year, but didn't you just change your major?
I don't
I was
understand
thinking
your question.
Chinese
What's
was
the
weird.
idea?
No, no, no,
I don't
no.
understand.
Then it's still fails.
I'm sorry, I'm not good at finance management, so sometimes I'm not familiar with the research methods of, finance area, you know.
For living
We have
outside.
another
same
course,
thing.
the accounting research
Did you
method.
ask?
So maybe the research method
They-
is different in our, criminal research
Yeah.
management,
Yeah,
art
this money, but they don't give it to us.
Because it's illegal. So later.
I'm not familiar, maybe I ask for
Because
the
it's
help
all-
from other
Yeah,
teacher, which
Sound
research area.
Because our room in the dorm is empty.
And what is our room in the social subject? How it is. It's still have revision.
I will,
Да, не дают.
Okay. so go back to
이건 네.
Ну, я знаю, больше 4200.
Ну, неплохо бы, да?
Okay, that's the step two, literature review. Step three, construct a theory and propose hypothesis. That's need with theoretical thinking. You have to use your insights, use
The
your
only one that I have used.
reasoning probability to construct your own management theory. That's the, I mean, the conclusion or the result of theoretical research, not scientific research. You think this carefully, and then maybe you'll construct your management theory. Now, a theory is a system that are advanced to answer questions, explain and predict phenomena. That's a theory. And then, for example, if our research question is that should we transfer leadership style to improve innovation ability? That's the research question. Should we transfer leadership style to improve innovation ability? So that the theory you construct is that leadership style influence innovation ability. That's your theory. And then you have to transfer these theory into different hypotheses because we have different lifestyle. For example, transformational, transactional leadership, entrepreneurial leadership, empowering leadership, blah, blah, blah. So many different types of leadership style. And you focus on which leadership, which style. Okay, and then maybe we will construct a theoretical model like this. We read the literature, we observe the circumstance, and we communicate this topic with other teachers or your classmates or the leaders or the CEO of the enterprise. And then construct your own management theory and then transfer your theory to research hypothesis. So what is research hypothesis? Hypothesis will explain later. My question is, research question is that whether leadership's behavior influence innovation ability or not. Whether leadership behavior influence innovation ability. You have to answer these two questions. Whether these two variables are related or not. No relationship between these two are no need for you to do further research. And then if we find that there is evidence to tell us that these two variables are related, and then we can continue another research. How leadership behavior affects enterprise innovative ability. Maybe we construct a model like this. Why leadership behavior influence or affect innovation ability? Because leadership behavior influence enterprise innovation and atmosphere. And this atmosphere also affects employees' innovative behavior. So the innovative ability of the whole company will also increase or improve. So that's the theory we construct. And then we have to transfer this theory into research hypothesis. Like this, for example, hypothesis 1, leadership behavior influence innovation atmosphere and employees' innovative behavior directly. Employees' innovative behavior influence innovation directly. And the relationship between leadership behavior and the employees' innovative behavior is mediated by atmosphere. So we treat this variable as a mediator. For now, you don't know what this will mean. I will explain what is mediator and what is moderator later. Okay, and then you transfer all of the theory into research hypothesis. Blah, 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 blah. According to different research concepts, and you can construct or propose different research hypotheses. Let me show you, and then we use model to present the theory and hypothesis. Here, the term model, research model. we often ask you to give the reviewer, what's your research model? What's your research model? Research model, that means you have used a picture, use a model to show us how many variables are there in your research, and what's the relationship between all of these research variables. You use a model, use a picture to show us. So the objective of a model is representation. So models differ from theory in that a theory's role is explanation, and whereas a model is a representation. It increases our understanding, prediction, and control of environmental complexity. So this is an example. Conceptual model. How many research variables in this research model? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, a little, complex research model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 variables. And then, no need for you to show us the specific research hypothesis. I just see this model and know your research variable, and I know the relationship between all of these variables. For example, organizational learning will influence in technological innovation, and organizational learning influence competence, and competence influence enterprise performance, blah, blah, blah. So I can use this model, I will see very clearly. So that's the objective, or that's the function of a model, research model. So show us your research model in your proposal report and your final thesis. That means you will show how many research variables and what's the relationship between them. Okay, this is step 3. Step 4, research design. Research design is the plan, framework, the blueprint of your research. First of all, we have to make a plan before you start your research. Otherwise, maybe you will make a mistake. For example, if survey is a method of collecting data. So if you select survey as the method of you to collect the data, you have determined all of these questions. Which kind of structure will the questionnaire or interview guide poses? Should it be administrated by mail, computer, telephone, the internet, or personal interview? Should all relevant data be collected at one time or at regular intervals? So you have to design your research plan like this. Let me show you the whole one. Let me explain. The main work of research design is that you have to determine which is your research type. It is exploratory, descriptive, or explanatory research. And then relationship is cause-effect relationship, or just the correlation, or just describe the difference. Cause-effect relationship and the correlation relationship, very different. Time scale is a cross-sectional or longitudinal research. Research environmental, laboratory study or field study. For laboratory study, you can control external variable very strictly. Unit of analysis, individual, group, organization, or social products. And measurement, how to transfer attributes into specific numbers. And we'll discuss this, use another chapter to discuss the question of measurement. Sampling, you use probability sampling or non-probability sampling. And then what's your sample size? How many subjects? Data collection, survey, experiment, simulation, or interview, or other methods, and then you can use to collect the data. Data analysis, we use statistical, game, or decision techniques. Last class I told you that if you are very good or excellent at mathematics, you can use game theory, or decision theory as your analysis techniques, very, very excellent or good at mathematics. Otherwise, use the first one, statistical. Just follow me. For example, according to my experience, that if 10 students attend the final disease, maybe at least 80% use the first one, statistical. As a scope of application of research conclusion, what's the scope of application? Okay, and then let me introduce objective of research design. There are three objectives of research design. The first one, answer research question effectively. The ultimate aim of research design is testing research hypothesis you propose in step 3. Involve relationship between constructed by qualitative and quantitative analysis. And then the second one, I will introduce this one and this one. Meet the requirement of validity. There are 4 different validity. You have to understand what all of these validity mean, because we use these 4 validity to evaluate the quality of the research design. If the lower quality of your research design, the lower of your final success. And then control variance in research. First one, let's start from this one. Objective of research design. The first validity we call measurement validity, statistical conclusion validity, internal validity, and external validity. So what is measurement validity? That's a question of measurement, because you know, in management theory, we'll focus on management concept. You know, the characteristic of management concept is that it is abstract. We can't see it, we can't touch it. So we have no accurate measurement tools to measure the management construct, right? So, for example, construct X, construct Y. We want to know the relationship between this X, uppercase letter X, uppercase letter Y means the abstract concept. And then because you know abstract, so we can't say it, we can't hold it. So how can we make conclusion? We have to test them, we have to measure them. And then here we use lowercase x. Lowercase x, lowercase y is test measures to measure the corresponding x and y. And then we collect the data. But we collect the data, this x and this y. So the conclusion, but we make a conclusion based on uppercase x and uppercase y. So you see the test quality, the measurement quality is very, very important. For example, what is my here? If the lowercase x just measure 20% of the uppercase letter x, you know, this measurement quality is very low. So the conclusion may be wrong. But if this x measures 80% of this x, that means you learn something, you find something important, right? So that's the question of measurement validity. Constructs are concepts that are deliberately created by researchers in order to develop measurement theory. So we can't say it is abstract. We have to use indicators to measure them, and how these indicators measure the constructor or concept is very important. So that's the question of measurement validity. So measurement validity refers to the degree of correspondence between an item, measure, scale, or measurement instrument and the underlying theoretical concept. Measurement validity is evidence if the measure accurately and appropriately assesses the construct that it is purported to capture. The higher the measurement validity, the more accurately it can measure what is intended to measure. And then we will discuss this question in later chapter, measurement theory, because it is very important. And there are three different kind of measurement validity: content validity, criteria validity, and constructor validity. We often discuss this one and this one, this one and this one. The first one, content validity. So what is content validity? Easier for you to tell us the conclusion of content validity. Sometimes we call this validity as a logical, because you ask for, you just ask the specialist or experts in the relative area, and they say, oh yeah, your measurement is very good. That means your content validity is high. So content validity is the process of obtaining evidence or support the test using the form of expert judgment about the test content in relation to a defined domain of knowledge of performance. So you ask for help from expert or specialist in the relative area, because your test measure, your indicators is very good. That means content validity is good. So easier for you. So the judgment process focuses typically upon relevance of item content to the specific domain, the balance of coverage or representativeness, and then rationality of proportion. Okay, then constructor validity. You have to use special statistical techniques to test constructor validity. So here I just explain what is constructor validity and how to test constructor validity. I can explain, tell you how to test constructor validity when we study factor analysis, and then I will tell you how to test constructor validity. Here, just to tell you the concept of constructor validity. Constructor validity refers to the degree to which a test or measures or indicators the abstract concept that is purports to measure. It examines whether the test is actually measuring what it claims to measure. How well a particular measurement reflects the theoretical construct it is intended to measure. And it involves making sure that the items included in a measurement tool are actually measuring what they are supposed to measure. For example, I want to measure consumer innovativeness because we can see consumer innovativeness. So you have to use some items, use some indicators to measure the consumer innovativeness. And then maybe you will get a specific number, for example, 27, 29, blah, blah, blah. How this score reflects the core variation of consumer innovativeness. That's the question of constructor validity. This is an example. You know this one? IQ, intelligence quotient. How can we measure a person's IQ? We often use a different scale, right? And maybe the most famous one is the Wechsler's intelligence scale. And then, you ask a lot, you answer a lot of questions, and the different question, different option, you choose different option, you will get the different score. And then we sum all the score, and then you will get a total score. If your total score is 55 to 70, that means mentally inadequate. And then let me see average. What's average? Average 85 to 100. And then above average 100 to 150, and if larger than 145, that means exceptionally gifted. You know, the Einstein's IQ is 160 plus. What about yours? I don't know. But we know the average, I know the average, you are postgraduate, right? And then I think the average IQ in our class, maybe at least 120. 120. Okay, let's go back to constructor validity. So, for example, you IQ is 120. 120. You are, I mean, high intelligence, right? That really, that means your IQ is exactly equal to 120. No, because we have different scale to measure your IQ, and different scale, maybe the score is very different. So we just use this score to, to infer, or to just, in other words, guess your ID, right? Use this, you use this score, guess or infer your intelligence level, right? That's not absolutely equal to your intelligence. We just guess. We just use this one to guess or to infer. So that's the question of constructor validity. Can this score measure your IQ exactly? The degree. So that's the question of constructor validity. Okay? No? Oh my God. Where? Wait. Let me see. Yeah, here. So let's explain this in detail. So high constructor validity means there is substantial theoretical and empirical evidence that test and measure the intended structure. You are very smart. You are very, very smart. So your IQ is really nearly 120. You are above average, very good intelligence, a high intelligence level. That means the constructor validity is very high. Low constructor validity implies the tester may be measuring something else. This 120 is not is not the level of your intelligence quotient, but another quotient, financial quotient, maybe reflect another something else intended, or the score interpretation are questionable. That means your measurement is not good. The quality of measurement is low. That is the low constructor validity. Use this one. Okay. Evaluate constructor validity quantitatively often involves sophisticated statistical analysis like factor analysis, structure equation model, and correlation with other validity measures. So when we study this one and this one, we'll go back to discuss how to test and measure constructor validity. So that's constructor validity. Okay, constructor validity is the most difficult to measure, and you must test the constructor validity in the final thesis. So you have to understand what's the constructor validity and how to test the constructor validity, because you have to show us the result of the constructor validity in the final thesis. Otherwise, I will question the quality of your measurement. I think you test something else. If you want to discuss the relationship between consumer innovativeness and the new product adoption behavior, I will question that this number, 27, is not the value, exact value of consumer innovativeness. That means your conclusion wrong. You will not pass the orange fence. Okay. And then there are two different kinds of constructor validity. We've got two forces. What's this? It's a 水龙头, right?
Yeah.
Forces of constructor validity. That's two different kinds of validity. The first one we call convergent validity or congruent validity. Another one, discriminate or divergent validity. So what's the difference? Convergent validity is the extent to which responses on a task exhibit a strong relationship with responses on conceptually similar tasks. There must be a very close relationship. And then not only should a constructor correlate with related variables, but it should not correlate with dissimilar and unrelated ones. So we call this discriminate or divergent validity. If measure correlates with one or more measures of a similar characteristic and does not correlate with measures of similar characteristic, it means that the convergent validity or discriminate validity is good. Let me give you an example. I want to test or I want to measure happiness. So how can we measure happiness? So I think if I have a very perfect pension system, I'm in good health status, or my education level is very high. I got a doctor degree, so I think I'm happy. So all of these ones. So you got your master degree and you will be happy, right? So all of this can measure happiness, right? And then another one. If I am satisfied, I'm very satisfied with life. I have very good salary, very good welfare, and then I always in positive emotions and level of joy, and then I will also feel very happy. Happiness. That's happiness. So these indicators can measure happiness. These also measure happiness. They measure the same. The same concept of happiness. And then convergent validity means that these two group of indicators should be very correlated because they measure the same or the similar concept. There must be a very close relationship between these indicators and these indicators. So that's convergent validity. So what is a discriminate or divergent validity? Like this one, hostility, lack of economic substance, or the quality of life is very poor. There should be no relationship between all of these indicators and happiness, right? So that is discriminate or divergent validity. Okay, that's the meaning of these two ones. The second one, statistical conclusion validity. That's a question of statistics. Maybe you will not understand what is statistical conclusion validity now, because maybe you have no idea. You have the basic principle of statistics. It's just a question of statistics. Refer to validation of the validity of data analysis and processing procedure for research. It's just a question of, something like this, the source of errors and variation, and how to appropriately apply statistical significance test. Do you know what is statistical significance test? Statistical significance test. You know that? What is P value? What is level of significance? Yeah, that's 0.05%. 0.05% is shareholders, right? Yeah. That's the substantial meaning of the level of significance is the probability of making one error. So what is one error? We still have two error. So what is one? Take one error in statistics, in hypothesis testing, So what is one error? What is one error?
there is always the probability of error. There can be human error or technical error, and like these that can occur in a situation like if we are studying something and we collect data, so there can be error in the data.
So that's not a real meaning of tape one error. No, it's not that. Tape one error, that means we will study what is tape one error later in statistical techniques. So tape one error means that, you know, let me show you this one. This one. Do you know the small probability event principle? A small probability event is unlikely to occur in a single experiment. So for this one, if we develop a statistical hypothesis, that means we have to propose a pair of statistical hypotheses. The first we call H0, and the second one we call H1. H sub 0, H sub 1. We call this the non-hypothesis and call this one alternative hypothesis, a pair of statistical hypotheses. And if the non-hypothesis is true, but you reject these two non-hypotheses, that's tape one error. That's tape one error. And the statistical principle of hypothesis testing is this one. A small probability event is unlikely to occur in a single experiment. If this event is occurred, that means your non-hypothesis is true, is wrong. We can reject the non-hypothesis. We discussed this in the later chapter in statistical principle. Okay. So that's the question of statistical conclusion validity. It's a question about data. Quality of data or the statistical testing method you use is appropriate or not. So that's the question of statistical conclusion validity. So you will understand this validity when we discuss the basic principle of statistics. Okay. Internal validity. So what is internal validity? Internal validity refers to whether the design and conduct of a study are able to support that a cause-effect relationship exists between the independent and the dependent variable. It ensures that no other variables except the IV cause the observed effect on the DV. Let me show you an example. You know, for example, if I am researchers in, medicine company, and then we have very new drugs. These drugs can decrease the BP. And then how can we test the measure of these new drugs? For example, I select 1,000 people, 1,000 persons who have hypertension, and then let them take these drugs, and then we measure their BP, right? And then maybe we find at least 9% of the subjects, their BP decreased. And then can we make a conclusion that these drugs can decrease or reduce the blood pressure? Can we make a conclusion like this? Can we? We investigate 1,000, and at least 9% patient or subjects, their BP reduce after they taking these drugs. Can we make a conclusion like that?
Yes, 90%.
No, you're wrong. That's the question of internal validity. Why? Why? You can make a conclusion like that. Because so many factors influence a human's blood pressure. So many factors. For example, if you are, at my age, my BP is normal, but sometimes a little high. If I ask advice from doctor, the doctor often tell us what, you know what?
Take it easy.
Low salt diet, low fat diet, do more body exercise, and maybe emotional equilibrium, right? You let yourself in a good mode, right? And then no smoking. I'm not smoking. And then maybe lose weight. All of these measures will help you to reduce your BP, right? Am I right? So, the improvement of lifestyle also decrease or reduce your blood pressure. If you do not control the variable like this, how you can make conclusion that the decrease of, the BP is caused by drug, not caused by this one? So that's the question of validity. Internal validity is crucial for being able to draw a credible conclusion from research. It allows researchers to rule out alternative explanation, not caused by this one, caused by this one. That means your internal validity is well. Okay, that's internal. We have internal, we also have external. So what is, not this one. Internal, this external. External, so what is external? External is the question of generalization. External validity is the validity of generalized inferences in research. It is the extent to which the result of a study can be generalized to other situations, to other people. That means the scope of application of your conclusion. Right? The wider the scope, the higher external validity. The extent to which result obtained from a study sample can be generalized to the population of interest. This is an example. Gravitational acceleration, G, is about 9.5 meters per second, right? In China, in your country, the number is different. Oh, no. The number is the same. Yeah, maybe a very, very little difference. 9.79 or 9.80, just a very, very slight difference. But in China, in your country, this number, the same, right? That means the external validity is very high. But another example like this, I'll give you another example. Maybe you're not familiar with this university. The first one is Beijing University. The second one is Tsinghua University. The third one is the Ming University of China. So another Nanjing University, Fudan, I don't know how to, yeah, Fudan University, Shanghai Jiaotong, you know that university?
Yes.
Very top level university. So if your research subject is a university like this, can you make its conclusion to our university? Maybe. You must be very, very careful if you want to use your research conclusion based on all of this very, very top level. Because they're the top university in China, right? So that's the question of external validity. Okay. And then what's wrong? Let me start from here. Yeah, the third one. Three objectives of research design. The first one, answer the question, meet the requirement of validity. And the third one, control variance in research. Control variance. Control variance in research. What is variant? We focus on the variation of the dependent variable. Variation of dependent variable. One major objective of research design is to find the independent variable to explain the variation of dependent variable. For example, we want to find why the buying behavior of different people are different. Why the performance, financial performance or other performance of the different company in the same industry also different. Why? We want to find why the variation of independent variable. This is example. Here, independent variable is income. Dependent variable is job satisfaction. This is our DV, this is our IV. I want to find why job satisfaction is different. Why? And then my idea or my theory is that because income is different, so job satisfaction is different. But you know, variation of DV is not just caused by income, maybe caused by other different factors. This is another example. Organization atmosphere may be, in fact, job satisfaction. I don't like this atmosphere, so I'm not satisfied with my job. And then personal expectations. Personal traits will also influence job satisfaction. And another source is that error will also influence dependent variables. So at least the 3 different sources will cause the variation of dependent variable. The first part from your independent variable. The second one from extraneous variable. So what is extraneous variable? Variables which will infect the dependent variable other than your independent variable. We call this extraneous variable. And the third part is error. So how can we control the variation of the dependent variable? We use different way. The first one is we call maximize systematic variance. Systematic variance refers to variation of DV caused by IV, just by independent variable. That's systematic variance. We maximize systematic variance. The higher the ratio of systematic variance in total variation, the more chance for you to find the proof to support your research hypothesis. And then we increase the variation of IV. Increase variation of IV. You will maximize the systematic variance. For the second one, we control extraneous variance. Extraneous variance will influence DV systematically, but it is entirely unrelated to the objective of research. I have no interest in the influence result from extraneous variable. I just want to focus on my independent variable. But these variable will influence dependent variable. So we must control irrelative variable by minimizing or offsetting this effect. So if we cannot control irrelevant variable effectively, we cannot judge whether this positive relationship results from effects of independent variable or effects from extraneous variable. So you must take some measures to control the influence results of these extraneous variables. And then the third one, error variance. Error variance refers to variation of independent variable caused by random factors. Random. Typical variance is measurement error. For measurement error, can you control measurement error? According to the rules of measurement error is inevitable in all the scientific experiments. It is inevitable. So what we can do is to minimize the influence result from error. Okay, so much for today. Okay, see you next time.
номер видел, когда он дает
In the one chapter, I will.
проект. А что печально? Как там написано 8-14 дней? Ну 8-14 дней будет.
Because you know,
А ты не знаешь, способ может быть подуть?
45 or. Before each class. I have to read this material again, sometimes I will check
Я вот знал, что у него как-то
This is your reader room? Oh, class, oh, okay, thank you.
отдаваться за географию.
This is a, I use. Thank you. Thank you.